And if I told you once, I ain't gonna tell you twice. Salute all my real ones. Yeah. Look, bro, we got researchers say there's evidence that consciousness continues after clinical death. Okay, so then that means that clinical death is wrong. I don't know. Let's find out. Like button, subscribe button, notification bell, press those. Let's go.
So what happens when we die? It's a question that humanity has wrestled with throughout history. But a new study
We don't die, we multiply.
conducted by NYU may have found some answers. Dr. Sam Parnia is the director of critical care and resuscitation research at NYU Langone School of Medicine, where he ran this study. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Parnia.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me.
What would you say? What actually happens when you're clinically dead?
You know, when people die, essentially it's when the heart stops. So this has been going on for as far as we know, millennia, not longer. And when the heart stops, you stop breathing and your brain shuts down, and that's how we declare people dead. And that's why we give a time of death and we give them a note. And really, to be honest with you, until about 50 years ago, that was the point of death. So people become lifeless, motionless, the brain shuts down. But now through advances in medicine, we can actually bring people back to life even after they've gone beyond that threshold of death, and study what happens to them. And one of the interesting things, of course, is that the brain completely shuts down, as I said. But what's fascinating is that the cells inside the body, and particularly the cells inside the brain, do not suddenly become annihilated. They go through a process of decay that can take a few hours, which is why we can actually medically bring people back to life after they have technically gone beyond that threshold of death for tens of minutes, if not hours of time afterwards. And that, of course, raises many interesting questions about what happens when we die.
So tell me more about this study. How did you conduct it? And tell me about, how you came about reaching your findings, your conclusion.
I'm an intensive care doctor, so my job is to essentially save people's lives and prevent them from dying. But unfortunately, people do die, and we try to revive them. What we have found is that over the last few decades, many millions of people have now come back, and many of them have reported, actually, anecdotally, that they've been able to see and hear things going on, even though from our perspective, they should have been dead and their brain should not be functioning at all. And so we became intrigued to study this, one, because it was fascinating, and two, because we tried to revive people without brain damage and to ensure they don't have any disorders of consciousness, so not becoming like brain damaged or having a vegetative state. At any rate, so this particular study is the largest study ever carried out in the world. It was done in 15 medical centers across the US and in Europe. And we studied more than 2,000 people who'd gone through this cardiac arrest or process of death. And we did not expect people to have any consciousness or awareness, but intriguingly, up to 40% of people came back and had a perception of being aware of what was happening to them, even though they had technically gone beyond the threshold of death.
Why do you think that is?
Well, there's a lot to it.
You could just say, I don't know, champ. Like, this is something that we're just starting to look into, and, it's all right not to know something.
I should also add that among that group, 10% had a very deep, profound mystical experience that was very true to them. But interestingly, 2% actually had full awareness, could describe all the events that were going on that were validated. So of course the question is, why does that happen? And we don't have the answers, because to our scientific model, when people have died, there should be no more conscious awareness going on. But it sounds like maybe consciousness is able to continue. And by that, I don't mean that they're awake, but that entity that makes us who we are, makes Sam who he is, makes Rena who she is, the self, the mind, seems to continue and doesn't become annihilated after a person has gone through their process of death.
To be clear though, they said he's saying the process of death, but to the process of death in which the medical community has defined it, right? Like maybe their just definition of what medically dead is incorrect.
Were there any of the people that you studied that completely lost all consciousness?
Of course.
Well, that's what I was trying to explain.
Yeah.
Everybody loses consciousness immediately as soon as the heart stops. It's not like they're awake and watching us.
Well, you mentioned that there were some people who remembered there was some sort of mystical experience that they were going through. Were there some people who said, nope, didn't feel anything, didn't?
So some people don't have any recollections. What we don't know is whether they had experiences and forgot it afterwards, and that may be what's happening. Because of course we forget a lot of things, and most of the people who are brought back.
All right, man, we gonna stop it right there. I'm gonna stop it right there for two reasons. One, talking about death, man, and just thinking about, like, you know, we're the only species that from the moment we're born, you know, well, a little bit after, once we start being older, 7, 8 years old, we know that we're doomed, right? Like, we're the only species that know that it's over for us one day. And I don't know, man. Like, this is crazy though, bro. It's like, matter of fact, no. Let me let them
have issues to do with their treatments. We give them sedative drugs, which wipes out their memories. So that's part of what we're studying now. Is does everybody have this experience, and how long does mind and consciousness continue in some format, even though we've gone beyond the threshold of death?
Do you have some sort of conclusion as to?
All right, now I'm gonna stop because you cannot make any conclusions. But yeah, man, like, I mean, different people have different beliefs of what happens when you die. Some people think, yo, once you die, it's over. Like, there's nothing, there's no afterlife, there's nothing to experience, there's no souls floating, angels and wings and all that. But then there's other people that do believe that this is just a pit stop in a long journey that your soul and your spirit makes. There's other people that feel like that you know, you die and you reincarnate as something else. That's why when you see, you know, pets have different personalities, and there's people that talked about that they had a relative that died and then they bought a pet, and it was almost like that pet was just like that relative that passed away. So there's many different things that happen, but this does give hope. Like, you know, it's just a quick reminder that we don't know, like, as far as science has gone, there's still a lot to learn about the human body and the human body during death. So, but yeah, like, I really do want to cut this one short, partially because I had to go to the bathroom. But yeah, man, let me know what y'all think about the video specifically. Let me know, what do y'all think happens when people pass away? Do y'all think that this is all we get? Once you're here, enjoy this life, because once death comes, it's over. You go back into the earth and that's it. Or do you think that this is just another step in the journey? Do you feel like there's a heaven and hell? Do you go into another universe? Do you reincarnate? What's your belief? I really do want to know. So make sure if you watch the video, especially to this part, comment that down in the comment section. But I'm going to leave it there though. My name is Rain. Catch you on the flip side. RCP salute. Wait for it. Dab on him.